What's up, Brew Crew? Opie here. Welcome back to my Brew City Garden. You know, here in beautiful Brew City, Milwaukee, we really have a beautiful diversity of wildlife. You know, even here in the city, if you look out into the backyard, you can see all kinds of creatures and animals and birds running around. It's really a pretty sight. But unfortunately, sometimes they can be a nuisance in the garden. Now, I don't necessarily want to harm the wildlife, but I do want to keep them out. So I'd like to show you a few tips and tricks that might help you out in your garden and certainly help me out in mine. You know, when it comes to dealing with wildlife pest issues in your garden, the first thing you really want to consider is what exactly is it that's causing the problem? And that's really going to help you narrow down the tactics that you're going to use in order to help deter that. Here in the Brew City Garden, I've got a few different pests, some worse than others. So I've got the birds, the robins especially, that like to dig in and steal my freshly sown seeds. Now with the birds, they really do more good than harm because they like to eat the insects that are here also. So they really help take care of the caterpillars and beetles and such here in the garden. So I really tend to kind of leave the birds alone. I don't try to get rid of them. What I will do is lay these rubber snakes down near my freshly sown seeds, and that really seems to do a good job from keeping them off the bales and from trying to dig up my seeds. So, you know, and I really prefer to use passive methods. I don't like to actively go after these animals. I just want to spook them a little, keep them away. So these rubber snakes, although many people will say these don't work, I don't know if it just happens to be the particular color of these snakes in my area. You know, it might be a good idea to do some research and see what snakes are native to your area and try to find something that appears similar to that. I imagine you would have better luck with that. So far, using these rubber snakes, I've had great luck. So I am laying out these rubber snakes, and I'll come by and just about daily, I'll put them in a different position. And that seems to really help out a lot. A couple other pests that I have here in the garden are squirrels, and the squirrels aren't actively trying to eat my garden. They like to dig. So they'll come in and they'll start digging through the bales and they'll dig through my planters. I just had to replace a tomato in the tomato bucket system because a squirrel got in there and was digging for something, whether it was grubs or to hide a nut or whatever it was, but they actually broke the tomato plant completely. So I had to go in and replace it, which is frustrating. But otherwise, the squirrels aren't really a huge problem. The rabbits, on the other hand, can be a really big pain. They just, if you've ever had problems with rabbits, you know they can wipe out pretty much your whole garden in one day or one evening. They tend to be the worst. Rabbits will really come out at dusk and dawn, and that's when they typically do most of their feeding, and they can do a lot of damage in just a short period of time. And they really seem to love my green beans. So that's why I'm out here today. So what am I going to use for the rabbits? Well, the rubber snakes for sure. I will put these out. They really seem to work well for me. But there's a couple other things that I like to use. The first thing I'm going to use is my cayenne peppers that I saved from previous years. Actually, these are from 2018, so last year. I've just got tons of these, and I've got some from 2017 as well. I will just throw these. These are dried in a dehydrator, and I'll just throw them in a food processor and blend them up just into a coarse mixture. And essentially, I'm just putting hot stuff in the garden. And rabbits have a keen sense of smell. So just by sprinkling these across the garden should help deter the rabbits and really any other mammals that are sensitive to hot peppers. But I'm not going to stop with the hot peppers. I've got another trick. On this one I haven't tried yet, but the people that I've seen use it or that recommend it swear by it. So we're going to give it a try this year. And essentially we're going to plant forks. That's right, plastic forks. So let's get this open here. You know, you can get a big box of forks like these for, I don't know, about $2 US. And essentially what you want to do is just come along and literally plant the forks right here in your bales. And it's going to make it, well, you know, inaccessible pretty much. For one thing, I would assume that it just spooks the animal. And makes them very wary of the area. And two, even if they do want to get in here, they're going to have to deal with these pointed ends on the fork. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works this year and seeing if it actually does do as well as everybody says. And the nice thing about the straw bales is they're really conducive to the forks. Super easy to put in there. So, you know, I think it's going to work out well. We'll see for sure, though. The proof will be in the pudding. If my bean sprouts are still here next week, then we'll be in good shape. All right, so we've got the rubber snakes, which always seems to work well for me. We've got the hot peppers that I blended up and sprinkled in the area. We've planted the forks, so we're growing our forks, and I will definitely load this whole area down with the forks. And those will come out when I think the plants are mature enough to not be bothered. But I got one more trick, and it's probably my least recommended, at least for rabbits and squirrels. However, I understand that if you have a problem with deer and perhaps groundhogs, this last solution seems to work fairly well. At least a lot of people say so. So let me pull it up here, and it's quite a big bag. But Milorganite. Now, if you know me personally, you know that I do not recommend using Milorganite in the garden. And there's a few different reasons for that, and that's going to be a whole different video. But I will use the Milorganite around the garden as a preventative measure for wildlife. And to me, I think that's really the only suitable use for this stuff. Now, if you're not familiar with Milorganite or other biosolid fertilizers, it's a nitrogen fertilizer that is the byproduct of bio-waste processing. So it's crap. I mean, pretty much. Now, actually, that's technically not true. So when you are finished with your business in the bathroom and you flush, that waste goes to a treatment plant. And at the treatment plant, they will add enzymes, and they will add other microbes to the waste to help break it down. And once the microbes have broken it all down, they'll run it through a conveyor, dry it out, and those microbes are then packaged, and that's exactly what this is. So it's not the waste itself. This is actually the microbes that break down the waste. Now, with that being said, I'm afraid there's still, I would think, contaminants in here that I do not want in my garden whatsoever. And again, that's for a whole different video, and I'm gonna take a lot of flack for this, but I will not put this stuff in my vegetable garden. However, I'll put it around it just to keep animals away, and as far as I know, that's a very good use for this particular product. So it does have its place. You just have to be mindful of where and how you use it. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna skip the Milorganite. I'm gonna start with the peppers, the snakes, and the forks. If that doesn't work and I have to come back and re-sow, I will also deploy the Milorganite and perhaps put up a poultry netting. All right, guys, now that you've seen some of the tips and tricks that I use in my Brew City garden to help deter some of the local wildlife, hey, let me know what you're using in your garden. Leave a comment below. Let me know what pest it is you're dealing with and exactly how it is you deal with it. I'm always looking to learn something new. All right, guys, thanks again for joining me here today at the Brew City Garden. It's always a pleasure to have you guys here with me. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Hey, you can keep up with the Brew City Gardener for the rest of the season. And with that being said, take care, have a wonderful day, and until next time, we'll see ya.